Welcome back to another Q&A The Librarian Way. My name's Emily from the Gnoming Librarian.
And I'm Julia from Stylish in the Stacks.
And today's Q&A is all about getting involved in the classroom. And for public librarians, that might be homeschool or getting to know your media specialist in the area. And for media specialists, it's about making sure you're making yourself relevant in your library and getting out there as much as possible. So first question
is, what are some regularly scheduled class activities that you are involved in?
We do homeschool sessions each session. It's kind of like a semester. So we do a spring session and then we do a fall session, and we kind of talk to our homeschool families about what we want to do. But we always do computer classes, so introductory computer classes, and then we also pick a theme. And this spring, we are doing theater. So we are putting on a play this spring. So
It's fun.
our homeschool stuff is really about socialization, making sure that the homeschoolers in the area have an opportunity to get to know other homeschoolers. We like to, when we can, have an educational element to it. But this one's all about finding that bravery to do public speaking and getting to know some other cool
So
kids
you
in
as the library come up with a theme? Or okay, cool.
Yeah. I've found that the more educational based it is, the rougher it is on me, because I have to learn everything before, because it's not like I have built-in curriculum.
Right.
So we did science a couple sessions ago, and I mean, I was frantic. I was like, I don't know what any of this, like I'm trying to do science
It's like a
experiments.
foreign language.
I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Steve Spangler became my best friend who does experiments online, and I'm like, okay. But I think we might do something math or science-based again in the fall. But this session is all about theater. So that's something we do regularly. Yeah.
That's good. I am a book talker, especially with my freshmen. Every Friday, I go into the freshman English classes and I book talk what I've been reading for the week, so I'm totally honest on whether I like it or not. And I think the kids appreciate that. They don't just want to hear that all books are great, because, you know,
They're not.
then when they read one that they don't like,
then
they feel like they're a loser at reading, you know? So I book talk to them, and I'll book talk to other grades too, as teachers ask me to. And students really like it when I come into a room with a couple books. It's just a chance to talk about, you know, what's in the library, and I think they like that. And then each of our grades has research papers or research projects that they do, and I'm always a part of that. Always a part of teaching research skills and helping in the library, finding resources, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So those are some of the regulars.
What are some every now and then activities that you participate in?
Yeah, it kind of switches around, kind of just depending on what's new out there. Lately, I've been asked to come in a variety of departments and teach like a new web tool. Like I've taught Animoto videos in our careers class. I've taught how to make like movie posters with a couple of our special ed classes. So I get some of those every now and then. I get a lot of pop-up questions, like a class is doing some kind of activity and they just need some kind of help with something, you know, just kind of a last minute thing. We're having a Sherlock Holmes kind of scavenger hunt in the library next week for senior English, which is super fun. So yeah, just a little every now and then things.
We occasionally get a call, not necessarily with the public schools, but the private schools, to go in and talk about our online databases and how kids can get library cards if they don't necessarily live in our taxing community, and some of the different resources that we have. I try to send out newsletters when I can to the teachers so they know what's going on in our library. So that's a different way to get into the classroom. I do it especially at the beginning of the year to remind teachers, you know, hey, you can come and get movies if you need them. We can do interlibrary loan requests. We can, you know, show our databases to you as well. And then we also, and I just lost my train of thought.
Well, and I was going to interrupt you anyway, because I think a lot of the teachers here that don't live in this town think that they can't use the public library, and so that's just always a good reminder that, you know, if you're teaching in the school, you still have access to materials and sometimes a longer waiting time or a longer checkout time, and so I think it's always good to remind teachers of that and kind of put them at ease a little bit. So.
Yeah, and I remembered what I was going to say. Summer reading. This year, I would love to be in the schools for a day, one day in the middle school and one day in the high school to promote summer reading. We're doing something new and exciting, and we're just kind of changing things up a bit. So I'm going to try to come that angle too, to do some marketing in the schools, see if we can't rev up some enthusiasm for summer reading.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I do feel like often the public librarians in the public schools are marketers, you know, I mean, which there's so many other things you can do as well, but I feel like that tends to be the default activity, you know, just reminding everyone what you have,
what we
that you're important.
What we do, that there's still the part of the day after school in case you need something to do.
That's right. You can love libraries almost 24/7. How do you encourage your involvement in classes? To get your name out there. I mean, you kind of touched on this.
Newsletters, bulletin boards. We have announcements read. So we try to just, as a reminder, just to, hey, we're just down the street. If you need something from us, we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I just have learned to sell myself. I do also some kind of notice at the beginning of the year just to remind people of what I do. And I always put on there, you know, some examples of things that I can do for teachers, whether it be help teaching a research lesson or just making a book list for their own personal spring break reading. And I try to mix it up. This year I made little mock library cards with all of that information on there and put it in their mailboxes. So it's just a little more creative. What else do I do? I just pop by and talk to a lot of teachers during their professional development meetings every week. And I've often found that just by talking about it, like if a teacher finds out that I was teaching Animoto videos in one class, it's like, wait a second, why can't you come to my class and do something cool? So kind of just, you know, bragging about what you've been doing or sharing projects from other classes, that tends to perk people's interests. So, and sometimes I honestly just say, and I did this a couple weeks ago, hey, I have an idea for a cool unit. Could I help you? I mean, would you be willing to add this to your curriculum, and could I help you teach it? Because, you know, I'm a former teacher myself, and so I miss being in the classroom regularly. So every now and then I like to come up with a unit 2 or a lesson.
And from the homeschool angle, that's one thing that we've had to kind of be careful at, that sometimes I think parents forget that we're not teachers.
Yeah.
I'm not a certified science teacher, and that became very obvious. And so the children, I work very closely with our children's librarian for our homeschool coordination, and we had to sit down and we wrote a mission statement so they knew exactly what to expect from us, and that we did want to focus more on that socialization element. They were providing an extra to their curriculum. We are not trying to build their own. We can't offer our own. We don't have the staffing. We don't have the time, and we don't have the knowledge to do that. So we've kind of had to walk that line a few times. But our homeschool community is so great, and the parents are so supportive, and so it's a give and take. They let us know what they want, and we do our best to provide what we can from that angle. So
that's good.
Yep, and we do, again, from the homeschool, we make sure I'm on a whole bunch of listservs, so I'm constantly, again, with the marketing, and that's a lot of what I do. We're marketing through group listservs, different websites. We volunteer for different things when we can to let them know we're in the area and we support them. We just went to a homeschool debate tournament, which was the most fascinating thing in the world. I got to judge, it was improv, and so they got to choose 3 topics, and they had 1 minute to come up with 3 things that they were going to say about that topic, and they were all idioms.
Oh.
The way these kids interpreted what that meant, like all your eggs in one basket, was the most amazing thing in the world. I mean, like, you're sitting there and you're like, I get what you're doing, but I don't know how you got there. Like, it was the most amazing thing. And these, I mean, that takes a lot I couldn't do that, to pick something a minute and then have a whole speech and be professional and sound, you know, solid with it. So getting out there and making sure you're volunteering when you can. I know there's not a lot of time in the day, especially
and
when
you've been at like some of our sporting events, like handing out fun things, and just reminding everyone that you're around. We're here. Athletes can read too.
We're here.
Yep.
Fun question.
What
is the last book you read?
Should I mention the one I'm reading now?
You can.
Okay, I just happen to have it here because I just book talked. This was not planned. This looks very rehearsed, but it's not. I am reading Just One Day by Gail Forman. I really like it. I'm not a huge romance reader and I'm not a huge realistic reader, and I thought I knew exactly, where this book was going to go, and I thought it was going to be very predictable, and it's not. It totally took a turn I wasn't expecting, and that made me love it even more. So I'm still in the middle of it. It's awesome. And I just realized we have a challenge going in our library for the month of March to read a book with a face on the cover, because we like quirky challenges instead of like read a mystery, and it has a face on the cover, so I'm totally double dipping. The last book that I finished, I think it was Panic by Sharon Draper, because she came to our school, our district, a few weeks ago.
I am reading Into the Still Blue.
Oh.
Trying to finish up that series. And
Yeah, I haven't read the third one. I've only read the first
I'm
two.
enjoying it.
Are
It's
you?
been a while, so I'm like trying to wait. Where are they? What are they doing? What are they
Yeah.
trying to do? But I'm really liking it. But the last book I read was the Prince Award winner, Midwinter Blood by Marcus
Oh.
Sedgwick. I didn't like it.
Really? That
I
happens so often
didn't.
with award winners.
I mean,
sometimes.
I understand. I kind of understand why it was chosen, because it's something completely different, and I just couldn't shake that feeling that he was trying to do something huge, and I just didn't. It didn't work for me. There were some things I think that needed to be added to kind of flesh it out. The tone and the mood of it was fantastic. It did have a very creepy mood to it, but overall, I didn't like
It's a
it.
bummer.
It is, but I'm glad I read it. So it was
Yeah.
my first Marcus Sedgwick. I hadn't read any of his stuff.
Oh,
so.
okay. I've read one of his. The last Prince winner, Nick, was that his first name?
Yeah.
Nick Lake? Is that right?
Yeah.
He
In the
just,
Darkness, is that what something?
In Darkness.
In Darkness.
Yeah. He just came out with a new one that I just added to my collection, which sounds like the movie Captain Phillips, but with a teenage girl and her dad and stepmom getting taken over by pirates. And it sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of want to read it now.
Speaking of pirates, Once Upon a Time comes back on Sunday. Sorry, off topic.
I've kind of lost some of my faith in Once Upon a Time. It
Captain
dwindles
Hook.
for me.
I
I
am
am a
in it for
Captain Hook
Captain Hook.
fan. Me too.
They were on Good Morning America this morning.
Oh,
That's why
were
I thought of
they?
that. And it's a Wizard
Is
of
he
Oz
British?
angle coming. Yes, he's got an accent. I don't know if he's British.
Yeah,
he
but
has
he's got an accent.
But he looks
Good
like
enough.
the Dread Pirate Roberts
Ugh.
from Princess Bride. I just want him to be the Dread Pirate
Yes.
Roberts. Oh, off topic, sorry.
No, that's what's
Excited.
great about the
Fairy
library.
tales. So,
Yeah, it's all connected. Actually, I think I'm going to do a tag video on my YouTube channel, and it's fairy tale categories, but then it asks you a question, like for Beauty and the Beast, it asks you, what's your favorite book that has a horrible cover? And so it's going to be a fun tag video.
it's fun.
Yeah.
And speaking of, if you go to thelibrarianway.com, I did post a blog post about a great visual graphic thing that you can print off on YA retellings. So it does this kind of, the ones that are fairy tales, the ones that are myths, the ones that are connected to Shakespeare or Austen, so the classics.
That's nice, because there's so many of them.
It printed off really nicely. I found it off of Epic Reads, which is a part of HarperCollins Publishing. But yeah, it's at thelibrarianway.com.
Cool.
So
That's awesome.
yeah. Well, we'll be back next week with another
week.
video, but we'll be blogging all week long at thelibrarianway.com. Make sure you leave your comments and questions below, and we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Friday.
Friday.